Well, hi, this is Paxton Quigley, and I've written a new book called Armed and Female, Roman numeral 2, Never an Easy Target. And I'm happy to be here with Yaya, and we're going to talk about guns today because more and more women are buying guns, and a lot of them don't know that they really have to learn about guns, that you just can't go out and buy a gun.
Hey, hi Paxton, how are you?
I'm really good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. And I'm so excited to have you on the show today. I am
Good.
very excited
Thank
because,
you.
oh my gosh, there is just so many different things we need to talk about when it comes to guns. And I like guns.
Good.
I have guns. But it's not the gun, it's the person. So tell me, why did you write this book? What happened?
Well, I have to tell you, I used to be anti-gun.
Mm-hmm.
I hated guns. I was, one of these liberals out there, and I didn't want to even talk about a gun. But then one night, and this is when I lived in Los Angeles, I got a call from my friend, my girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
and it was at about 2 o'clock in the morning, and she's crying. I said, stop crying, stop crying. Tell me what's going on. And
Uh-huh.
she said, someone broke in. A guy broke in, and he actually broke in, and he climbed up her apartment area. The window was open slightly. He
Uh-huh.
opened the window, came in, and pounced on her.
Oh my
And
God.
she fought like the devil, let me tell you. I mean,
Mm.
this is some woman that knows how to fight, and she couldn't fight the guy off, and he raped her and left. And that's when I got the call.
Oh,
And I just lived, like 3 blocks away from her. I jumped into my car, came over there. Um, I was able to get into the house because I knew that she had a key hidden somewhere. I'm not going to tell you where it was hidden,
of
but
course.
I knew it. Ran up the stairs, and I mean, she was like a horrible, horrible, horrible mess. And this was a woman that was a joyful person. She was a strong person.
Mm.
And here's this guy that came in and raped her.
Oh my gosh.
And so I said, okay, we got to go to the hospital. She didn't want to go to the hospital. I said, but you have to go to the hospital. It's
Mm-hmm.
important. You've got black and blue that's going to show up. So I got her downstairs. We went to the hospital, and I stayed with her. And she said to me, I should have listened to you a long time ago when you told me to get a gun and learn how to shoot a gun.
Mm,
I
mm.
didn't. And she said, I feel stupid now. I said, no, no, don't feel stupid. You
Wow.
you weren't in the place yet to own a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to learn right now. I always said you can't really learn right now. And I stayed with her, and she calmed down, and they gave her drugs and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
finally, about 2 or 3 hours later, she was able to go home, and I stayed with her, for the rest of the day, and made her lunch and all that, and calmed her down. But the one thing I said to myself,
My gosh.
I said, this is never going to happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I decided it was time to really learn how to shoot a gun and to buy a gun.
Mm.
And I talked to some of my other friends, and they thought, "Oh, you can't do that. No, you're gonna shoot yourself. You're gonna shoot your foot." I said, "No, I'm gonna go to the range." It was an indoor range, and
Mm-hmm.
learn how to shoot, and I'm going to take lessons, and not one lesson. I'm going to go ahead and take a number of lessons,
Right.
and I did it. And then,
Wow.
and you know what? I got to tell you, I liked shooting. It was fun. I mean, it was paper targets with mean-looking faces and all that,
Yeah, but
and I was starting to hit the target pretty well. And I
mm-hmm.
thought about it, and I said, what happened to my friend could just as easily have happened to me.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and I said to myself, I'm going to buy a gun. And I talked to then a male friend of mine, and he says, "No, don't buy a gun yet. Go to a gun range and learn how to shoot."
Mm-hmm.
And this was out living. I was living in L.A., and there was uh, a a gun store, and they had a place where you could shoot guns.
Mm-hmm.
And I went there, made an appointment, and had a 3-hour lesson.
Mm.
And at first, I was scared like nobody's business. But
Oh my
then,
God.
you want to know something? It became like a big shot. I got to tell you, I know how to shoot. I know how to shoot. You know,
Wow.
yeah. And
Wow.
I took my target home with me, and I
Mm-hmm.
put it up in the door.
Oh my gosh. I love when I do that. I absolutely love it. I go target shooting not so often, but when I do, over here where I live, we do it in the woods. So
Okay.
there's a place where everybody knows don't go back there. So don't go
Okay.
back there.
And don't tell him now.
Yeah, right. No, we're not telling. But a lot of people around here have guns. I mean, so when you think about this and you think about, okay, this is never going to be me. I never want this to happen to me. What was it that inspired you to write this book though? I mean, it could have been that you went to the gun range and you just did that. What inspired you to write this book though?
Because of the damage that I saw that was done.
Mhm.
She was in really bad shape. I
Mm.
mean, and uh, uh, it took her a long time uh, before she came out of that experience.
Mhm.
And I know her today, and she doesn't have a gun. And we've talked about it because she's anti gun.
Okay.
And I don't argue with her. I don't want to argue with her. It's her
Mhm.
business. If she uh, doesn't want to, that's her prerogative. But
Right.
for me, when I saw the damage that was done,
Mhm.
it was like, no way, Jose, not going to happen to me.
Wow.
And I started to explore in terms of what was out there in terms of the gun world. And
Right.
there are some amazing classes throughout the United States.
Right. There are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I ended up making contact with these people, introducing myself. And it was at a time when I worked at Playboy uh,
Oh,
uh,
okay.
for Hugh Hefner. And so when I, told them that, I was working for Hugh Hefner and this and that, and I wanted to see if there's any way that I could um, through just part of Playboy to get people to be more interested in having a gun.
Mhm.
And I got all of these free classes,
Mm.
some of the biggest names out there,
Mhm.
and most of my training was done outdoors. But at the same time, we also uh, do did things inside too.
Mhm.
One place that I went to had a setup where you would have to break out of where you were, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
They try and make real live. Uh, how could I say it? Things happening to you, so
Mhm.
that you didn't think about really should I shoot or shouldn't I
Right.
shoot? You knew
Mhm.
that you had to shoot,
Exactly.
and it was incredible experience, absolutely incredible. And
Wow.
today, when I tell people, and most people are shocked because they look at me and I'm small. I'm only 5'3", blonde hair, and all that. And and I tell people I'm actually a trained killer.
Oh, yeah, you are.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
are.
I don't have any plans of ever having to have that happen, but
Mhm.
just in case, I know what to do.
You have to be ready. You have got to be ready because if you're not ready, then it just goes downhill from there. And I tell people no matter what, you could be a trained killer. You could be, but if you're not put in those stressful situations where you have to react, you're not going to react. No matter what, you're going to freeze. So it's really good that you did, go to these mock situations and that you took the training. So who is this book for though? Like, why did you write the book and who did you target? Who were you targeting?
Well, I obviously targeted women,
Hmm.
and I decided to, since I lived in New York, is to start, talking about it in New York,
Hmm.
and worked with this one shooting range, and I was teaching women who would come to the range.
Okay.
All of a sudden, I said, "Hey, I think I could make a business out of this, and I could set up my own training."
Right.
And not have to maybe follow with some of what they were doing on the range that was not necessarily comfortable for women.
Hmm.
And I just decided that I was going to go into business, and contacted a number of people in the gun world, and I put together a whole scenario of what I would like to do,
Okay.
and trained with those people. And
Hmm.
then from there, they said, "Okay, you're ready to train other people." And I
Wow.
started a business. I started a
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Stop. You started a gun business?
well, not a gun business per se. I do have a gun named after me. It's called the Pax.
What? Girl, you just went
Smith
all out.
Smith
Oh,
and Wesson put out a gun and named it the Pax.
oh
They
my
didn't name it
God.
the Paxton Quigley. They named it the Pax. And it's not a big gun. It's a 38 special.
Mm,
Doesn't have a long barrel, but you can carry this gun uh, in a purse.
mhm,
And I then developed purses where you could carry your gun. So, uh, and I made them nice looking purses where,
mm,
and some of the purses had an opening on the side
mhm.
with snaps, so
Right.
you could keep the gun could be loaded right
Mhm,
in the purse. The woman had it around her shoulder, and cross shouldered,
mhm,
and you can, with practice, you can easily get a gun out and shoot.
mhm, mhm.
Maybe. And
You
over
said cross
the
shoulder? You go, girl.
years,
You go, girl.
and over the years, I taught close to 4,000 women, and
Wow.
I even was invited to Japan to
Mm,
teach. Uh, and I also went to a couple of other countries. I got to be known throughout the world, or in a small part of the world.
mhm.
And once in a while, some of my students will, send me a Merry Christmas card. I remember you, and I still go out shooting, et cetera, et cetera. So I
Right.
always said, well, if need be, I could always get a posse together.
Yeah.
I still have their names and where they are.
Wow.
And so I did that. I did that for a number of years,
Mhm.
and
Wow.
then
Yeah, I wanted to ask you this. Are there any misconceptions on firearms with women? Because, men might say, "Oh, well, a woman shouldn't own a firearm," or some men might come out and say that. Some women might come out and say that. I mean, so
definitely.
what are there any misconceptions?
Well, a lot of men as well as women think that women are too weak to pull back the trigger. You can lighten a trigger to make it easier, for example.
Mhm.
There's some women that definitely shouldn't have a gun, especially if they've got a high level of anxiety, tend to get nervous, et cetera, et cetera. And
Mhm.
then there's also children. Uh,
Right.
if you're going to have children in your house, you have to know that you have to place that gun or any of the guns in a safe, locked place
Exactly.
so that no child can get at it. Because there are stories of children getting, a parent's gun and shooting themselves or shooting, their parents even.
Oh, I know. I know.
So you
I
can't take it lightly at all.
wow. So, what would be the most important steps a woman should take before they purchase a gun? Like I know how to purchase a gun. I've done it. Okay, but what are the steps that we as women need to take before we do that?
Okay, well, that's why I've rewritten Armed and Female. Armed and Female came out uh, uh, 30 years ago.
Mm,
It was the first book really that was written about women and guns, and was out there for many years. And then
mhm,
I decided to redo it now because there were so many new things happening,
okay,
and bring it up to date. So before you do anything, you should, one, go to a range and have some instruction,
mhm,
and at the same time buy my book and learn about what it's like to shoot a gun. And I've got the book right here, and I'll just give you some of the chapters, uh,
okay,
because it goes from going to a shooting range
mhm,
all the way to the ethics of using lethal force.
okay,
If you've got children, teenagers, and safety, what you need to do, how to buy a gun. Do you buy a semi automatic?
mm,
I recommend revolvers, and I give recommendations, and I have a lot of pictures there.
okay.
So, just don't go willy nilly out there. You got to go ahead and learn about, you know, what a
Mhm.
gun is and what it can do.
Yeah. It's so funny because you suggest revolvers. I like semis. Because I like to load it, cock it once, and go.
But, I love them too, but for a beginner,
Yeah, it's not a beginner gun.
yeah,
Definitely
you
not.
first
Definitely
should
not a
start
beginner.
on a revolver,
Hmm. And
and
why is that?
buy different revolvers, and they're, mostly 6 shots,
Hmm.
and find your comfort zone. And you might look at one and say, "Oh, that's really pretty," but we're not looking for pretty guns. We're looking for something that's going to, save your life or your children's life or your husband's life.
Right.
Uh,
Definitely.
so there's so much to learn, but the best way is to have an introduction, and that's what I've done. And as I say, it's got lots of pictures. It
Mhm.
has stories about women who saved themselves and their families.
Hmm. So, are there any misconceptions that the book dispels? Like women shouldn't have guns, and women, like you said, women are weak, and they can't be. Please.
If you truly don't want to have a gun, whatever the reason is,
Hmm.
don't have a gun.
Right.
But do something else. Take some karate lessons.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so many ways that you can also, protect yourself and fight off an attacker.
That's right.
you
Mhm.
know, and uh, then maybe you go the next step. You carry pepper spray around with you. You kind of move up
Yeah.
to where things get a little more complicated.
Right.
And then you make a decision. But the most important thing is there are so many women now who uh, work the night shift.
Hmm. I know.
They're out there,
Yeah.
um, and they work the night shift. they're single parents. They have to, they have to take care of their children.
Yeah.
Someone could come into the house. What do they do? And the other thing is not only that, you have to learn that, you got to lock your doors. There's a
Yeah.
whole element of safety, not just having a gun, but everything else that goes with it to make you safe.
Yeah.
And as I said, because so many women are now single, uh,
Yeah.
they can't rely on their boyfriend or their husband. And a
Yeah.
lot of women were like that a number of years ago, that, they didn't have to worry because their husband was there or something like
Mhm.
that. But that's drastically changed, and of course it's changed for a lot of women for the better,
Mm.
being independent, strong women.
Yeah, that's right. And I like what you said. You said take a martial art.
Well,
This.
it also can be fun. You
Mhm.
know,
Oh yeah.
there's the fun aspect. I remember when I first, started really shooting well and really hitting the target. It was like, wow, I can do this.
Mhm. Mhm.
And not be afraid. And
Right.
and then also, I still, feel it's good to learn karate. One of the things to do is also you don't want to be if you get in a situation, let somebody uh, a guy grabs you from behind,
Mhm.
what you do, you go limp, because you want to get down to the ground, so
That's
he has
right.
to come down to the ground, so the difference in height goes away, and you have to learn how to kick, and you
Right.
got to be ready to kick for the face, not for the legs or anything like that. You go right for the face. You could try and get to the penis, but it's a pretty small
I,
object, I might say. How
oh
about
my
that?
gosh. Right. I've heard that before.
Yeah, because if you go down on the ground, he's got to come down on the ground. So there's a better chance for you to get into position to start kicking with your your legs and your feet, and you
Mhm.
want to go to the head. You got to get head shots in. You
Mm.
got you got to be like really mean, and
Yeah.
the first time you do that, and they have models that you'll kick to, not to the human beings when you're out on the. Although some women would like to get somebody out
I know, right? Oh my
and get
gosh.
them good, but there's a way to finesse things so that
Right.
you have a better chance of being a winner. You want to
Yeah.
come out the winner and be like really happy
I
about it.
know, right? Like, done. I don't even know why you came after me. That
No,
was a mistake.
and but what what I like about the whole thing is that women finally know that
Mhm.
they are the ones that have to protect themselves
Yeah.
and their children, if need
Yes.
be.
Yes.
And
Definitely.
so they're finally realizing that having a gun is one of the most important components, but know really how to shoot it.
That's right.
Yeah, that really is the most important, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I absolutely love what you've done. I love that you wrote a book about it and that you're making yourself known. There's a lot of people out there that think that guns should be banned. And where guns are banned, I think crime is a little bit more rampant. It was a lady, or there was a story told to me about a lady in Washington, D.C., when they started to take the guns. She was an older lady, and they came and they said, "You have to surrender your gun." And she says, "Well, when the criminal surrenders his, I will surrender mine."
Good for her.
And you
And
know,
she shut the door in
and
her
she
face.
shut the door. So from what I understand, it's like, okay, so she's right. You know what? Am I going to give up my gun now? I depend on you to completely protect me.
Mhm.
Please. By the time you get here, I'm gonna, she'll be raped 3 times, shot 5 times, killed, and waiting for them with a body bag so they can come and pick her up. To me, it's like you got to have a fighting chance. You got
Yeah,
to have a fighting chance.
yeah,
Somebody comes into your home unannounced and unwelcome and uninvited, they shouldn't leave the way they came in.
correct, correct. And women, I really believe that. women today are much stronger than our mothers and grandmothers were.
Hmm. I agree with
You
you.
know, they've learned, and I think that the young women who are in teenage years, a lot of them can be really responsible gun owners, or at least go out and learn how to shoot a gun, and at the
Yeah,
same time learn how to fight.
that's right.
You need
That's
to be and be ready to yell and scream.
right.
Uh, you know, do everything you can to get this guy to run away.
Yes, and run away sad that he came after you.
Yes.
Run away sad that he came after you. Because, I mean, there should be a point where they get discouraged by doing this again.
Hmm.
And so you definitely want to do that. But thank you so much, Pax. Is there anything that we missed today that you'd like to tell people? And
Um,
what kind of advice do you give to a person who is thinking about getting a gun, a woman, and she's kind of backed away?
well, I think, and that's why I rewrote the book,
Hmm.
that before you go out and buy a gun, uh, get my book, Armed and Female, Roman numeral 2, Never an Easy Target. It's available on Amazon right now.
Hmm.
And it's got lots of pictures and diagrams, and read about it, so then you can make a real honest decision. Is this something that I want to do?
Right.
And at the same time, also, there are courses out there that are excellent and are reasonably priced.
I gotcha. I gotcha. And I want to thank you so very much for being on the show. There is just so many different things that we could say about this. And I want to thank you so much for being there. You guys, listen, the book is right there on Amazon. I want you guys to go ahead and go and check it out for yourselves. There is a QR code on the screen that you can go ahead and actually take your phone and go ahead and scan that. It'll take you straight to the Amazon site where you can go and check out this book for yourself. And if you are thinking about getting a book, you're definitely going to need to go ahead and look into this. If you're a female, I do suggest that you look into self-defense classes, karate classes, jiu-jitsu classes, and also some gun classes and some knives classes and some stuff. And we're not weak. We're not weak. We're
Not
just
weak at all.
not weak. We're uneducated, and we need to get educated on these things. And once we are, we're just as strong as anyone else. So I want to thank you guys so much. Thank you again, Paxton, for being on the show. And she's got a gun named after her. It's called the Pax. You need to go ahead and check that out too. I want
Thank,
to thank you guys so
thank
much for
you. Buy
being.
the packs. You'll like
That's
it.
right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to dare to be different. And until next time, guys, bye.